Hey everybody, today we're talking about the ABRSM Grade 1 Timpani Solo Baroque Notes. Now the first thing I need to know when I'm playing a timpani solo is what are my notes? What are my pitches? What am I going to tune these drums to? Now the composer has very cleverly written in A and D for us, so we know there's an A and a D, but we don't know which one is A and which one is D without being able to read bass clef. All right, so timpani is written in bass clef, and if we look at our very first note, it is 1, 2, 3 lines up, G, B, D. D is our line, so our lines are G, B, D, F, A in a bass clef. That third line up is a D, and the next note we see is in the second measure, and that second beat is on the first space, the bottom space, and that is our A. The spaces are A, C, E, G, okay? So that bottom space, an A. So that tells us that our lowest note will be an A and our highest note will be a D. Now tuning these, I encourage you to ask your teachers for help. This is something that takes a while to develop, and there are a number of techniques. But basically you need something that produces a pitch. A piano, a pitch pipe, some people use pitch pipes, or the glockenspiel, or a friend on a flute. There's a lot of apps you can use on your phone that produces the pitch, not just a tuner, produces the pitch. And I have something fun today. These are pitch bars. I don't know what they're called. They're just big metal bars that with hammers, and they make a note. So this is A. We're going to use this A to get that A in our head. And we're going to take the timpani, we're going to take it all the way down to the bottom until it's almost not making a note. It's a really low note. We're going to play this A until it's in our ear. Then we're going to tap the drum and slowly move our pedal up until it hits the note that we want it to, until it matches this, right? How's that? Does that sound right? There we go. That sounds pretty good. Now we'll do the same thing with the D. Find the D. We're going to take our pedal all the way to the bottom. We're going to play the D. There we go. Very nice. Now, I encourage you to do this every time you play the timpani. It's good practice, and you'll get better at it as you go along. Okay? Cool. Now, let's take a look at Baroque notes. One of the things that we look at when we start a solo is the time signature. This time signature is what tells us how many beats we have, and those are the two numbers at the beginning. This one is a 2-4, okay? The top note tells us how many beats we have. 1, 2, 2 beats per measure. And the bottom note tells us what kind of notes those are. So if you think of it like a fraction, the bottom is a fourth, so 1/4, or a quarter. A quarter is a fourth of something. So we have 2 quarter notes per bar, all right? That's what we know so far. The next thing I like to look at are the instructions that the composer may have given us. And the first instruction that Wright has given us is moderato, which is an Italian word that obviously means moderately, or, even, right in the middle, sort of average, moderate. It's neither here nor there. It's not extremely this way or extremely that way. It is moderato. Next to it, he gives us cleverly the quarter note equals 100. And that is our tempo, okay? That is the beats per minute that the composer would like us to play, or how fast our quarter notes will be. So if we use our metronome here, we can tune this, take this to a 100, and we push this in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and 2 and. That gives us a real good idea of what this piece should feel like. The next instruction that composers often give you is in the title. And Ian has written Baroque Notes, or Baroque Notes, depending on how you pronounce it. I say Baroque. Baroque Notes. Now, Baroque Notes, you may not know, Baroque is an era of music. This sort of happened in the 17th and 18th century. It was a very specific kind of music. You've probably heard of J.S. Bach. He was sort of the king of Baroque music. And it allows us to understand that maybe we can do something to help this feel very Baroque. And what we're going to do, if you can, we're going to use wooden sticks on this one. Normally we have big puffy felt sticks on our timpani, which is quite a modern thing. But back in the old days, they played on really old calfskin heads. And a lot of times they used wood or something with not much around it. So go for as hard a mallet as you can, hard as timpani mallets as you can. And that's what we're going to do to sort of give this a little extra something special. Finally, I like to breeze through the dynamics really quick and make sure that there's nothing surprising before I play. We're going to start off in forte, which means strong. That's Italian for strong, not for loud. It means strong. And we're cruising along forte, measure 11, piano. And piano means soft. It doesn't mean quiet, it means soft. Okay, so we're going to play softly. Then measure 15, back to forte, cruising along in forte, and then we have a mezzo forte. Mezzo forte is the moderato of dynamics. It is right in the middle, sort of unoffensive. It's not too quiet. It's not too loud, it's just right in the middle, or I should say, it's not too soft, it's not too strong, right in the middle. We cruise along until we see measure 27. You'll see 3 little letters, D-I-M, period. Now, D-I-M is short, an abbreviation for the word diminuendo. And diminuendo means that we're going to get quieter and quieter until we see our next dynamic marking. So we have to go from measure 27, 28, all the way to the end of measure 29 before we hit piano. So we want to take all of that time to reach that piano. We don't want to just suddenly get quiet early. We want to take all that time. Now at piano and into 30 and 31, you'll see at the end of 31, another little group of letters, C-R-E-S-C, period, which is also an abbreviation for the word crescendo, which is the opposite of diminuendo. Now we are going to get louder until we see our next dynamic marking. So we're going to look through, where are we, 31, 32, 33, finally in 34, we have forte, we are back to strong. So we are going to take both of those bars to reach our forte. And there we are, we're going to finish out in forte. Now, taking a look at this, a really important thing to take into account when we're playing timpani and when we're playing all percussion is our sticking. Which hand do we start with? Which hands do we use in between? Those things are very important because they indicate our phrasing and they also help set us up to make things easier, okay? Now, the first instance where I think it's really important to see is probably down in measure 19, at the end of measure 19. Normally we start, I as a right-handed player, normally I start a lot of stuff on my right hand, but in this case I would have to play right, left, right, right, and I think at this tempo that it's quite nice to go ahead and start that with our left. Left, right, right. I've got plenty of time to move my right hand over to play the top note, okay? We have a similar instance in measure 31. If you take a look down at measure 31, second line from the bottom, that second bar there, at the very end, right at the start of our crescendo, if we played with our right hand, we would have to play right, left, and now we're crossed over. Now we do cross over from time to time, and that is totally fine, but what we'd like to do is avoid it if we can. And in this case, simply by starting with our left, right, then we've avoided that. And now I'm going to come back, I'm going to stick with my left here, left, right, left. And now I'm on the downbeat of 33, right, left, and measure 34. And then I'll come back to my right hand lead to finish the piece off. We're always looking for things like that. We don't want to be playing like this if we can avoid it. I also don't like to do too many right across drum or left across drum. Occasionally you're going to have to do that, and as we get more advanced you'll find out we have to do that sometimes. But right now let's really try to keep it simple, okay? Okay, now I think we're ready for our play along. As we start all play alongs, I'm going to remind you two things in timpani, and that is our playing spot. Okay, we make our pizza slice on the drum pointing towards our lugs, and we look at the heart of the pizza here, all right? This is where we want to aim for on both drums, this spot right here. And we want to stay very consistent because this is what produces the most pitch. Okay, we have the center, which is a very cool sound, but not a lot of pitch. And we have the edge, also a cool sound, but it doesn't have a lot of pitch and it doesn't have the roundness that we have right here. Okay, and that consistency of staying in the same spot really helps your rhythm on timpani. We don't want to be dancing all over the head. Next thing I will always say is lift. We're always lifting our sticks off the head. We're never playing into the drum, never hitting down. We're always just dropping our stick and lifting it right back up. It's very simple. Lifting it right back up. Okay? Always remember those two things. Now we're going to have a playthrough at a very slow tempo. We're going to go down to quarter note equals 80. And I'm going to count aloud for you and point out a few things as we go. It's just a really good way to have a little play along. So let's try it. I encourage you to count along as well. Here we are. 1, 2, a 1 and 2 and ready, play. 1, 2 and a 1, 2, 1, 2 and a 1, 2 and a 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and a 1 and 2, 1, 2, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and a 2 and 1, forte. 1, 2, 2. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 left. 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and a 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 2 and a 1 and a 2. Diminuendo and 2, 2, 1, 2 left, left. 1 and 2 and 1, 2 and a 1, 2 and a 1 and 2 and a 1. Very nice. One thing I love to do on timpani solos in particular, it's your solo, and when you finish, and you want to finish strong, and you want to finish with a statement that says we're done, right? So we're saying, here we are, and now we are done. Let it ring. Feel strong about that. Let it put it out there and say we're done, and then come down and mute. Hear that ring. I think it's really fun to do, and especially with solos. You know, if you're playing with a band, you're going to have to cut off with everyone else. But when you're playing a solo, you can do what you want. Great. I think that's a great way to play along. We're going to have one more play along. I'll count you in, and we'll play at tempo at quarter note equals 100. So you can play along with me there, and I'll keep my mouth shut, and we'll just play. And I hope you're having fun. Send me questions. If you've got any, I'll try to respond to you right away, and we'll talk soon. See you later. Bye. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, play.